parents of potential kids that might need to be at summer school this summer, and it's going to be a beast in the high school, just to be honest about it. We have our finals coming up. Our teacher-made finals will be on May the 14th and the 17th, and our EOC and CTE finals will be May the 18th through the 24th. I'd like to invite the board to our academic banquet. Hopefully, Tina's reached out to you about that, and that's on May the 12th at 6 o'clock. Our guest speaker for our senior class that night is Dr. Melissa Day. So it's one of our own, and we're excited about her coming down and speaking to us. So I think she's currently doing her residency in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so I think that'll be really good. Our senior celebration day will be May the 11th, and that will be at the high school, and that's the day that we celebrate all the seniors and our college decisions and things like that. So we'll be set up out front for that, and Ms. Cody, the guidance office, will be running that celebration. And then on May the 18th, we have our senior walkthrough over here at the elementary, where our seniors come over in their cap and gown. They'll walk the halls, and all the elementary students will get to see them. So they come down the hall, and then that afternoon at 3 o'clock, we'll have a senior parade through town. So just be our cars decorated. We'll be riding through town that day. And our seniors, we've got several that have done really good as far as scholarships awarded to them already. And we have several scholarships that are also still out. But we had 4 students receive the Golden Leaf Scholarship, and that was Dawson Jordan, Colby Brooks, Willow Trantham, and Alexis McKinney. And we also had Dawson Jordan and Colby Brooks receive the Hagen Scholarship, which is a national scholarship. So they did very well. Willow Trantham just found out that she got one of the Western Regional Scholarships worth $20,000, and she also got the Appalachian Access Scholarship from Appalachian State University. So our seniors are doing very well, and I know that they have J. Smith Howell. We have 5, I think, that will be interviewing for the J. Smith Howell Scholarship next Monday, and the Fairview Scholarships have not been awarded, and the Moody Scholarships have not been awarded yet. So I feel like we're definitely going to have several more kids that get some really good money to help them go on and pursue a college education. Baccalaureate, again, I've told you this a couple times, but it is on May 19th at the football stadium. And the guest speaker that night, I was told, is Mr. Lance Phillips. And graduation is May the 23rd at 7 o'clock, also at the football stadium. And as far as athletics goes, football came to a tragic end Friday night, unfortunately, and one game short of the state championship game. They had a very good season on the Smoky Mountain Conference. Our softball team clinched the Smoky Mountain Conference last week, and we've been trying to play the first round of the playoffs for the last 2 days. So it's been canceled again today. So right now our first round game will be tomorrow against South Stokes at 5 o'clock. So you can come down and support those girls. They've got a great team and really good chance to go far in the playoffs. Our golf season came to an end, and we had one golfer, Mr. Colby Brooks, who was All Smoky Mountain Conference honorable mention, had a very good season. And we've got baseball, men's and women's track, and wrestling have just started up. And I do know that our wrestling team has already, we're going to host the Smoky Mountain Conference tournament in wrestling, and then we're also going to be hosting the Western Regional in wrestling. And we have applied to host the state championships, the individual tournament. It's going to be out of school, and I know Coach Odom was sent in for us to do that. So that is a possibility, and all those things will be taking place in June. So that's about all I have. Does anybody have a question for me?
Mr. Madison, band.
Yes.
Okay. Monday.
They are having a
Banquet
on Monday afternoon. Yes, or Monday evening at 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6:30?
6:30 is what I got.
Okay, well, it could be, all right. I thought it was at 6 o'clock. And I think that our new band director, Amber Watkins, Amber Watkins, she's going to be here for that. So at least the last thing she told me is that she would be. Anybody else have anything?
I missed time on baccalaureate. Was that 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, yes. Yes.
On the field, you say?
So, our kids will sit in the middle section of the stadium, and we're gonna set it up, and then parents and everyone on the outside, sections of the stadium.
That's it.
At 7, yes, and the speaker, all the speakers will be down on the field. Okay, so looking up at the stadium.
Any limits on participants with that or graduation?
Well, last year the board allowed 8, but I assume with the restrictions being lifted like they have been, we can have 1,455 people in our football stadium by the fire code that Jacob gave us. So I don't anticipate we'll have to have any limits. We didn't have that many
I think
graduations.
that was a little more than double, I think we did the math a little more than double what they did last year.
It is, that's correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we should be fine.
So we should be fine. I don't think there's any reason to limit anything. And they also, they lifted the mandate to wear a mask outside too, so. Okay. Anybody else?
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
I do have one other thing, sorry. Just really remind me. So, last week, Coach Odom received a donation for the wrestling program. That was a very large sum, and we were excited about that, and he's gonna be using that to redo the mats in the mat room, put pads on the walls and the rest of it. But he was given a donation of $40,000. So, it was a good day. So, a lot of that stuff, it needs to be done anyway to make the wrestling room a lot safer than what it is currently. And we use it not just for wrestling, our cheerleading practice over there all the time, so.
It's used a lot.
It's used a lot, yes, so that's a really good thing. So, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
More discussion.
Well, it's a nice rainy day. Not what's going on, the middle school's been kind of calm, thankfully, and we are getting ready for our spring fling, which is the first dance that the middle school kids have this year on Friday. We have EOGs planned for May 17th through the 20th. And then on May 21st, we have field day with our students, which will be the last full day of school. We have just completed or started with the 7th grade, the Stack Deck program, which is a grant program that we get on gambling. We'll finish that with the 8th grade after EOGs. We have registered the upcoming 7th graders for next year and started putting them in classes. And we hope to have our rising 8th grade and rising 6th graders registered by the end of the week. As far as athletics, our baseball team has 14 kids out. It's a reduced season this year, so we have 8 games on the schedule. We're halfway through, and our record's 1-3. We're supposed to play today against Fling, but I don't see that happening. Wrestling, we have 18 athletes out. They were supposed to have their first match today, and with 6 matches left, and the last one on the schedule is for May 20th. In track and field, we have 19 boys on the team and 17 girls. They've had 3 meets so far. We had 6 first place finishers and 9 second place finishers. And the next meet is scheduled for May 10th at Murphy. And then we'll only have 4 more meets left with the conference scheduled for May 22nd. And we have started planning and gearing up for summer school, working with 21st Century and Gear Up. Everybody seems to be getting excited. We're getting really excited about renovations that are about to start happening in our building, and all the dirt that's been moved out back. So that's pretty much what's happening in this school.
Good to see progress there.
Good to see progress. Yes, it is for right now. Now when summer comes and we've got kids and they're jackhammering in the halls, I'm not sure, but for right now. And then I also have a recommendation for an assistant principal, but that's not house for you.
Any questions? We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm going to allow Ms. Wiggins to go before me. She has an appointment that she has to go to at 10:45, and I'll follow her. Thanks to Ms. Cooper for allowing me to cut line here. I only have just a couple of preschool announcements. We are, of course, closing out the school year in preparation for another big year starting in August. We currently have 38 applications. We see 3 to 5 new applications come in a week. So that's a good number that we have. And then tomorrow is kindergarten registration. So we typically utilize the lower gym area. This year we will actually be using the space over at the high school, the gymnasium at the high school. And then shifting gears here just a little bit with Mr. Moody, in June we will be coming to you all with a mental health initiative to present to the school board for adoption, so that can later be presented on to the state. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer.
So I know that Ms. Wiggins talked about kindergarten registration. Just to know from my end what that could mean. With the new class size law that we have not yet received a waiver for from the state, if I have 90 or more kindergartners register for kindergarten registration, that will require me to have 6 kindergarten teachers. So we don't know. I don't know how many people maybe had children who were kindergarten age last year, but because of everything that was just going on in the world, decided to wait a year. I may have a bumper crop of kindergarten, so we shall see. But just know that without a waiver with that class size law, that could really make things look a little difficult out onto elementary school. So we are prepared and we know the number that it will take for us to be considering that 6th person. Testing starts for us May the 11th at the elementary school. And we're having our field day this Friday. It's going to be, kids are going to be outside all day, pray for good weather. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff on the football field next Friday. They all get a snow cone, so we're real excited. Y'all are very welcome to attend. If you're feeling down and a little bit blue, there's nothing that makes you feel better than watching kids play. So anybody that wants to come, I want to invite you to do that. I had some things for the other board members that I just wanted to show you. I think you hear a lot about interventions, and I think maybe a picture is kind of worth 1,000 words. So if you want to pass this over to them, that would help. What I did was, this is my end of year student data information. I'm going to remove this now. From iStation, which is our state assessment. It's an assessment that we use to kind of track growth for children throughout the year. This is for reading. And I want to explain to you what you're looking at. And of course, you know, Krista Buchanan is my reading specialist at the elementary school, so she keeps a thumb on this for me. If you look at our 6th grade, this is what you see on the first page. Of the 100% of 6th graders that were in reading intervention for this year. This is just our students who were defined as being below grade level to reach intervention. This is not talking about the entire 6th grade. This is just talking about students defined below grade level and receiving reading intervention. Of the 100% of those students, we now have 46% of those kids reading at or above grade level. And if you flip over one page, you see there each month they take what's called an on-demand assessment, and the line up there toward benchmark is what you see as what we call the trend line. So when we're doing these interventions, we look at this data all along because this kind of takes the guesswork out of it. It's working or it's not working, right? So when you see that trend line going up and you see those benchmarks and those on-demand assessment marks moving toward benchmark, that lets you know that your intervention and reading is working. Then if you look, so that's our oldest students. If you look at our kindergarten, this is just proof of how early intervention is the key. 100% of our kindergarten students who we define as struggling with reading, we now have 39% of those students reading at benchmark. Okay, that's what you see there, that overall. And then if you flip over to the back and you look at their trend line, you can see that it's an even steeper line. That when we can close the gap early before the gap is so wide, we can make that growth a lot quicker. Okay, so that's a little bit of what our iStation data looks like. That's charts. We look at these all year long. We're digging into these all year long, but I just kind of wanted you to see, and that's one way of how we assess our interventions. So I just thought that was important for y'all to to just have a view of and understand. Now, in full disclosure, if you know anything about me, I'm honest to a fault. I did pick 2 grade levels that had a good trend line, okay? I wish they all looked like that, but some are steeper than others. But as a general rule, we are looking at it and digging into that data all the time. So, do y'all have any questions about any of that? And we do the same thing in math. I just wanted to give you a picture. No?
Appreciate it.
All right, and Ms. Knight is going to be bringing you some names of some teacher positions that I have. I think we have some good candidates to apply. Yes.
I think that's going back to your kindergarten numbers. We have students coming in, compulsory attendance age 7 to 16 in North Carolina.
Yes.
Can those children, if they come in, they don't have to do kindergarten, can they go on the first grade?
So what I will do
Probably not a
is,
good idea.
well, it depends. It depends on where they assess. And so when we get children enrolled, once they're enrolled, I can give them this assessment.
Okay.
And if they're already functioning at like mid to later year kindergarten, it would be more beneficial for that child to go in the first grade academically. Socially, I'm not sure. And so that would just be a conversation that we would have to have with parents, because it's also a student who's never been in perhaps a classroom or a school setting before. So that has to kind of be taken into consideration too. We will assess, and at kindergarten registration, they do the dial screener, which is a part of that assessment to assess those academic skills coming in. So if it's a child that could have come last year, we talk about that and assess them. But a parent may just be adamant, no, I want them in kindergarten, and so I would certainly honor that. But if we have a student who, has a strong academic background, they just were homeschooled last year, they could certainly be placed in first based on, but it goes back to what I know about them academically.
But those parents can know that.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Good morning, school board. All I have this morning is to introduce our new staff member for our program, Ms. Tamaya Brown. She will be the education father for the language instructors. You all approved her last meeting, but this is the first time that she's had a chance to come up and actually meet the school board, so.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, welcome.
I think see you pretty fast, so I'm maybe.
She'll be a good addition. We're glad to have you.
Sometimes I don't recognize people with masks. Has everybody been good to you so far? Yeah.
Hey, it's me, could you?
That's all we have.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Have any other questions?
Thank you.
We're good, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank all of you.
You too.
Francine?
Good morning. I'm trying to listen to the others so I don't repeat, take up too much time. So year-up's finally on a real roll, and we are with middle school and high school. High school's on the lowering side of it. I did get approval next year for funding. The 11th and 12th grade will not be in our cohort, but I'm allowed to do no cost work with them, of course. And it could be after the budget for next year, when my salary is taken out, that amount that's left, I can spend possibly up to 25% of that on high school if I need to. Now, that being said, that will probably be college visits and professional development. I've already talked to the science department. They haven't been to a state conference in a while, and they're very interested. So with STEM being a big deal of our grant this time, I'd like to go ahead and send them next year if we can, for planning on that. We are working on credit recovery, strong and hard right now. I've had 2 who just finished their credit recovery for the year, which is with COVID, this is really good, trying to get them to come in and do this extra time. Our college advising corps, their board people came to visit us and to check on our advisor, Sarah. Everything went well with that. And of course, we have our new Chandra Bowen coming in to be our new advisor for next year. We think this will be wonderful because she's local, understands us, and will be able to encourage the children in the way that our county works. Yeah. We had our math finance meeting, and that went really well. Everything's fine. We're a little below match, but so is everyone else. They're not concerned. I've been meeting with Jenny B, who's with Project Discovery, and we're trying to work with each other in combination to make sure our students can get to as many college campuses if available next year. We're still doing weekly virtual meetings with Gear Up, planning for our summer events now that we have the mandated summer school, seeing how we can help with that. Most of our assistance will be with the middle school, since that's the focus of our grant. I've been meeting with the teachers over there and with Ms. Walsh, trying to figure out the best way for us. We're focusing on STEM, trying to get some supplies ordered. We already have a trip planned, July 29th, if possible. We will be meeting with the Park Service and an author named Robert Beatty, who wrote Serafina books, which focuses on the Biltmore House. He's agreed to meet us and sign books or whatever we need to. There's a new series of his called Willow of the Woods. And the park rangers are going to take us to a certain location outside of Cherokee that supposedly is like in the book, and read a segment from it. We're going to encourage not just the remediation students, but all of the middle school students to come, especially the upcoming 7th graders, because it falls in their curriculum for next year. So we're excited about that. Yeah, we're thinking positive for those trips all the way. I went ahead and scheduled a trip with Western Carolina and Talent Search to their Career Exploration Day, which is in November. And I also scheduled us in September to go to UNCA Junior Bulldog Day, which is about 20 to 25 8th graders that we'll take out for an Outlay plan. So we're trying to get the ball rolling and get these kids on campuses and see what we can do.
Yes.
Any questions?
It's nice to hear some normalcy.
Normalcy feels great. Oh, I forgot. I've got a big STEM night tonight. I'm so crazy. I've already been to Ingles twice today. We are doing a Zoom STEM meeting with Clay County and Swain at the same time. And I'm feeding them T-dubs and barbecue as an enticement to get the families there. We're hoping to do it on a monthly basis next year. So from here, we're going to get that going. Dinner's at 5, really, come on, Pam. At 5:30, we're eating at 6:30 to 7:30. The project's going there. It's Rescue from Mars event, and they're building a hovercraft. So I hope when I come back to report that it was all a go and everybody was excited for next year. I forgot that. That's it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Rattle, rattle.
Good morning, Ms. Hollowfield.
Good morning.
Hello.
How's everybody?
Okay, I'm gonna be short and sweet today, but I just wanted to let y'all know that this afternoon, we're having our first annual Pinewood Derby for the elementary school. It's gonna be from 4 to 5:30, in the elementary school auditorium. Then Thursday, we're having the same thing at the middle school. There's gonna be prizes, food, we're just a good time for the kids and their families, and anybody that wants to come by is welcome. Then on May 18th, we're from 2 to 5:30, we're having our end of the year luau. It'll be catered by T-Dubs. Anybody that wants to come to that is welcome too. We're gonna have water activities for the kids. That'll be, both sessions, we're having one Tuesday and one Thursday. And we'll be set up at the high school in the grassy area in front of the band room. Then our summer school schedule will run the same at both the elementary school and the middle school as their summer schedules. That's about all I've got.
Any questions?
Fun.
And we have the 21st Century Grant application due next week.
Next Friday at noon.
Yes.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Start last on the list.
Let's go.
All right, yeah, if you bring in, three. The budget and capital outlay requests.
Thanks, Rena.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, what I'm presenting to you today, is the local current expense fund request and the capital outlay needs budget. Previously, for the last couple of years, this local current expense budget has been $1 million that we've requested from the county. This year, the local budget, and I won't go over the individual PRCs. If you will flip to the third page, and they're not numbered, but you'll see the third page there in a highlight. It says total of Fund 2, which is going to be PRC 706 through 816. The budget request is $1,080,000. That's a $50,000 increase over last year for the local current expense budget, and also a $30,000 increase for staff incentives. So the request, the local budget that I'm presenting to you is $1,080,000. There's no specific increase in any particular PRC. Did increase the local budget request by $50,000, including $30,000 for, in addition, $30,000 for the staff incentives. Any questions about the local current expense budget? Okay, on the next page, also included in the local budget, here's PRC 834 for fines and forfeitures. I budgeted $20,000. These are funds that we received from the Superior Court. Next is Forest Service receipts. I budgeted $40,000. On the next page, this is a budget for impact aid. The budget there is $600,000. That's a conservative budget. Typically, we receive about $800,000. But I always budget conservative there. I think the budget too high, and not get the funds that we were expecting. But the total local current expense fund budget is $1,740,000. And then the page after impact aid will show you the budget of revenues. From the county would be $1,080,000, fines and forfeitures $20,000, Forest Service $40,000, and then the impact aid, there are three sources of funding there, which adds up to $600,000. So total revenues equal to total expenditures $1,740,000. Any questions about the local current expense fund budget? Okay, the last page,
This will be capital outlay projects or capital outlay needs. Separate sections there. I won't go over each line item individually, but for location elementary school, $40,500. Robbinsville High School and Middle School combined, $130,500. And then Graham County Schools, the district, $225,000. And the total there for capital outlay needs is $396,000. In last year's request to the county, we requested the $1 million, and we also requested $100,000 for capital outlay. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. What I request from the county in capital outlay would be at your request. But I wanted you to make aware that we did request $100,000, but we got $15,000 from the county.
So you're asking for a board recommendation?
Board recommendation, I have a letter that's already, that I submit each year. This letter requests the amount of the local current expense fund plus the capital outlay request. Last year that request was $1 million for local and $100,000 for capital outlay. If you want me to.
And what did we get out of the 100,000?
$15,000, yes.
My recommendation to the board is that we, for the local current expense, take Mr. Green's recommendation of $1,080,000 for the local current expense part, and then the board make an additional request for capital outlay.
Any thoughts from the board? Ask for the same thing, I said any thoughts from the board? What's your thoughts? I'd say ask for the same amount, $100,000.
We only got 15, I don't see it.
Well,
You don't ask, you won't receive.
That's
and really, we're just asking for a very small percentage. I mean, we just listed a few things that we really need. And you can see just a few things that we listed for almost $400,000. So, you know, I think asking for 25% of that is reasonable.
So your recommendation is stick with $100,000?
That letter's already drafted, all I need to do is change the date.
All right, is there a motion then to accept recommendation for local expense from the county for next year, capital outlay, and what, 1 point?
It's $1,080,000 for local,
And then
for the county.
the capital outlay. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor? All right, that carries.
When you go to the state,
Mr. Green, when is the next?
when do you go present this?
Well, we typically don't do a presentation. What we've done the last few years is put that in a folder with 6 copies of our budget and the letter, which is a request from the county, and they distribute that to the commissioners. Now, if they request that we come and explain this budget, we can do that.
But they get this ahead of time, correct?
They do, yes.
So we don't go.
Typically, we don't unless they request us to come.
Unless they request us to come.
Do you know when that meeting is?
I do not know when their next meeting is.
We can call it.
That's fine.
Sure.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think they meet twice a month, right?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'll present that to you. Okay, next, budget amendments. Thanks for your help tonight. There's just a few of these. There's 3 pages. The first page, these are budget amendments for the state public school fund. First section there is PRC 16, summer reading camps. This is a budget amendment that I mentioned, I referenced earlier in board training. We received an additional $11,967 and plan to use that for summer school teachers. This is called extended day teacher salary and the matching benefits. The next section now is PRC 85, early grade reading. We received an additional $83. Plan to use that for supplies and materials. Next page is budget amendments for the federal fund. These are two recently pots of funding that we received. It's called year funding. First section there is PRC 169. It's for student health, $63,767. And the majority of that is going to be used for salary and benefits. Next section down is PRC 170. This is a year for supplemental instructional supplies, $16,496. Majority of that will be used for teacher assistant salary and benefits.
And some of this is what I discussed with the board during the work session regarding the mental health teacher assistant position that we have first.
The last page of this is a budget amendment for Fund 8. We've spoken about Gear Up previously. And Gear Up, there are two Gear Up grants running currently right now. The first one's Gear Up 1.0, the second one's Gear Up 2.0. This is the second Gear Up grant. The amount for that budget is $85,856.71. You can see majority of these funds are for workshop expense, supplies and materials. There's a portion of it for the Gear Up coordinator. I think it's about 34% of that salary benefits. The Gear Up 1.0 budget will end September 30th, and we will start with Gear Up 2.0 for the next 6 or 7 years after that. Any questions about budget amendments? Okay, we've got expenditure reports. And the board sees these expenditure reports each year, each month, and what I'll do is I'll go over specifically page 2. These are the expenditures year to date through April 30th. And what I like to go over is how we are in this scenario. It's 10 months into the fiscal year, and I'll go over the variances, how we're compared to our budgets. For local current expense fund, there is no variance. We're right on the schedule for spending those funds. For Fund 8, we are under, which is our grants that we account for. Fund 8, we're under budget by 6%. State Public School Fund, there is no variance, so we're right in line with spending those funds by the end of the year. Federal Fund, we're under budget by 5%. Child Nutrition, we're under budget by 27%. And Capital Outlay, we're under budget by 52%. Any questions about the expenditure report?
Is that it, Mr. Green?
That's it.
Any questions, Mr. Green? Appreciate it. You do a good job. So we need a motion and entertain a motion to approve today's budget amendments. So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
So next is cable, I believe. Is that right? Rail programs. Good morning, Ms. Kevin.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm happy to give her out.
I'd like to present to you the federal programs grants allotments in comparison to the school year and next year. We usually do not have allotments in this early, but we do, which is great. I'll start with PRC 49, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act for the preschool. That allotment for this year was $22,500, and next year we get $22,582. We are able to fund one of our teacher assistants down at a Kids Place with this funded 60% of that position, which is a little bit more this year than what we've been able to do because we had our TA. We have a newer TA that's just new, and we don't not have to pay them as much as the ones we had. So PRC 60, which is our Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, that is K-12. For this year, we had an allotment of $265,794. Next year, that's a little less. The plan allotment, although what I am hearing through our division is they look to increase that. I don't know what that will be. But right now, that what we have told we will definitely receive is $259,018. We use that to fund 100% an EC teacher, 40% of an EC teacher, and 6 full-time teacher assistant positions. I will know that next year we are having to add 3 new TA positions to exceptional children just to our numbers and our high level of needs that we have in our program. There'll be one additional one at Robbinsville Elementary, which would be a one-on-one in grades 3 to 4. One in the middle school to go in with the 6th grade teacher that's moving over, and one will be at the high school. Again, our needs are changing. We've had a very high level of referrals this school year, more than we've had in the recent past years. So that's ever changing for us. PRC 50, which is our Title I grant. This year, the allotment was $373,588. That is going down $17,000 next year to $356,538. This school year, we saw a decrease in that funding of $30,000. Next year, we'll see another additional $17,000. What they tell me it has to be related to our census information. So, if that grant employs 8 full-time teacher assistants at our Robbinsville Elementary, 40% of our K through 6 math coach that we have, 25% of our behavior liaison, 15% of the director's salary, and 50% of administrative assistant salary. In addition to those monies, we also are able to provide support to our core curriculum through our interventions, evidence-based intervention programs that we have in place. That money is used to supplement that as well as help provide for our identified homeless children in our district. PRC 103, which is Title II, improving teacher quality. The allotment this year is $49,263. Next year will go up slightly to $50,229. That money is used currently to pay for 60% of the salary of our K-6 math coach and 25% of the teacher position at Robbinsville Elementary. Rural low-income schools, the allotment for this year is $25,366. We do not have an allotment for next year currently yet. That money is used to help fund our nursing position at Robbinsville Elementary. PRC 108, which is our Safe and Healthy Students grant. We've received this now, they're going on to the 3rd year. This year is $30,569, next year will be $28,008. That money is used to support a well-rounded education for students, mental health needs of our students, and we're able to provide some incentives to our students as far as safe and healthy students, as far as our field days and things like that. I did not note here, but traditionally we have not received these grants, but we have this year. We'll have 2 more federal funded grants coming in next year, with the student health and support of $63,767.
and supplemental instructional services that we're going to use to help pay for a TA in exceptional children, which is $16,496. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Kay.
Thank you.
We do, and I would just say, Ms. Campbell has already held an annual public meeting for any public that had wished to attend that. She held that last week.
That's our day, close to the
So advertising papers.
and we plan to meet with tribal representatives this evening. Okay. Thank you.
Entertain a motion then to approve these grant programs as presented by Ms. Kay. Second. All in favor? All right, motion carries.
I'm telling you.
Like the personality there.
Right now, it's pouring outside.
But we're here.
Any certain place you'd like me to start?
Summer school plan.
Summer school, one, sure thing. Well, I assume that have they been informed about what we're doing overall as far as summer school plan goes, or?
More or less, yes.
Okay, well, so just to kind of get the highlights in, for summer school this year, we're basically combining several different summer schools and trying to make one big package out of all of it. The state legislation, of course, is requiring that we serve kids 150 hours for 30 days. Summer school start June 7th, run through July 2nd. Take a week off for the 4th of July, and then we'll finish up for a little time there at the end of July. There will be pre and post assessments. That again is the legislated by the state. Now the part that I really need to talk to you guys about, and something that I will need to ask you to vote on today, is the actual summer retesting program. Now, for the accountability years, the accountability year ends in June. And so the new accountability year will start in July. And so with that being said, for the summer retesting program, basically for students that don't make a proficient score the first time around, they can come into summer school and they can retake the EOG after a certain amount of remediation. And so that's what we're planning on doing, what I need you guys to vote on today. But of course, since the accountability year ends in the end of June, we're going to have to do the testing before summer school is complete. And so we will actually be doing our testing, probably about that last week in June. Now, what I did, I do have a document that I would need you guys to vote on and sign for today, but basically, on this document, I put in here that the instructional dates would be June the 7th and June the 18th, which is 10 instructional days. Number of hours of instruction is 5 hours per day, which would mean that the students would receive an additional 50 hours of instruction before they take the test again. Now, of course, those dates right there, I know that we will probably test a little later than that, but I would rather err on the side of caution there. But so anyway, that's we will be testing in elementary and middle school. We'll be doing grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We'll be doing a summer retest in math and science only. Reading this year, you'll remember I've told you in past meetings that the reading scores we're undergoing they're implementing a new test this year, so those scores will have to be normed over the summer, so we will not even find out what our reading scores are until probably August and September when the state board meets to approve all that stuff. So again, that's the part that I need you guys to approve today, where I can show that we have a board approved summer retesting plan, so I can send that in to DPI. As far as summer school goes, of course, we will be doing RTA testing also, but now RTA testing is different from the summer program.
That's read to achieve.
That's read to achieve for 3rd grade. Now, of course, there's more time that's required in read to achieve camp before they can take the Read to Achieve testing. And so that testing will happen in July in the next accountability year. Any questions about the summer school plan that
If we're gonna test them at the end of, is it required that they come to full summer school, if they're in danger of not going on to the
So there's
next?
a couple of different things in play here. So one is a Read to Achieve test that they have to pass or make an attempt to pass with the state in third grade. Then there's kids that are, it depends on the grade level, but then there are kids that are in danger of retention, that can have to be retained in the grade that they're in. They will be required to attend the full session of summer
I
school.
guess my question is, once you test a kid, it's kind of like, well, hey,
But there'll be a requirement for some of them that they have to do the whole thing as terms of their, and we'll consider these go on as we pass it to the next
that was
grade.
my question.
Yeah, and some people credit recovery, they'll have X amount of, that's the time
Yes.
they are good for those, so.
So you need to conclude your testing during the 2021 calendar.
That's
correct.
Okay, so that's what you're asking the board to vote.
yes, and I'm asking you to vote on the instructional days being June 7th to June 18th, 10 instructional days, 5 hours per day, which will be a total of 50 remediation instructional hours. And then, of course, we will do the testing. And then again, those grades and subjects that we're going to test. And we are inviting any student that did not make a level 3, 4, or 5 on the initial EOG.
Any other questions then from Mr. Nyland? All right, is there a motion then to approve the summer school program as presented by Mr. White and testing as well?
So,
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Got your wish.
thank you, sir. I guess I'm on the agenda for construction also. I guess before I get into the construction, as far as the testing update, it's
And
just,
most of the principals have.
Okay. I was gonna say, it's really busy right now. And testing will get started pretty soon, so. All right, as far as construction goes, we did have a construction meeting last Tuesday, April 27th. Three different things I was going to talk to you about. The first part is the metal building. The metal storage building is complete as of now. We did, in the actual initial plans and the drawings itself, this was a shock to me. I did not realize this, but in the initial plans, the electrical work, the design for the electricity in that building was not included. And so therefore, that has not been done. They are currently right now working to get us some quotes about what it would take to get the electrical part of that. It might be something that we actually use them to do, or that might just be something that we end up needing to do ourselves. And so that's that part. The second thing, which was really good news, of course, we knew that there were going to be water issues back then. And so with that being said, they ran into some water, so they called the engineers in to take a look at, what is actually there, the amount of water that's actually there, and the plans, take a look at the plans to see if they think that those two things are going to mesh together and work out okay. According to the engineers, the drawings and the drainage that they have in the drawings should be sufficient to handle the water that's there. So that was a good thing. And then the last thing that we really actually spent the majority of our meeting talking about was about the renovations. As far as the renovations goes, there's going to be quite a bit of work there in the middle school hall. And with that said, we talked to them about when we're getting out of school, when they can get into the building, and about when we needed the building to be completed as far as the renovation goes. And really, truly, Western Builders, they weren't that concerned about getting the work done. What they were concerned about was getting materials here to complete the work. And so I do know that the architect did release a I don't know, the funding or the paperwork or whatever they have to do to go ahead where Western builders could request, the materials and all that. So hopefully we'll hear back here very soon. He seemed to think that we ought to know by the end of this week, as far as, what material or delivery times are going to look like. So hopefully that will, turn out in our favor.
Having a major construction project in the middle of a pandemic is gonna be challenging. They've done a good job.
They have.
They have.
That metal building, I tell you, the guys that got to come in and do that concrete work probably about the best I've ever seen. They did a really good job. So that's pretty much the update on that. I will let you guys know what Western Builders decides, or what they find out about materials and how quickly they get stuff here. That may end up affecting what's going to happen in August. So as far as whether sixth grade will be here or sixth grade will be over there, it's lots going to ride on those the information they gather.
We got it too close.
That's going to be.
We're just gonna have more information, make it better informed decision.
Any questions about construction?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you just say that you had a building constructed and they didn't have electrical in the proposal?
Well, yes.
It's a storage building.
It's a storage building.
It's not part of the manufacturing.
But it's a building that was proposed, built, voted on, and approved, and it didn't have electrical in?
Well, we didn't ask for there to be electrical in there.
That came later, that decision to put the electrical in?
This is another building.
It's a storage building, storage building.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, because I know construction, that just seemed weird.
Yeah.
I'm here to keep my eye out on things, just for the record. So if I seem like I'm just being simple, it's because I'm getting, vibes from that. You don't have electrical in your proposal, it's weird. Just saying. So everybody's legit, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, that's, you gotta admit.
And that's the new building on the old building. And the old building, they don't have, that wasn't an issue, so. It wasn't in use.
Did the code require you to have electrical in that storage building?
No.
Code didn't require it, just came about later.
Yeah, that's something we asked for.
That's expensive, so that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, well, but we're gonna do that inside, so it's not like it's expensive. This is something we can handle in-house. It's a very simple project.
Any other questions for Mr. White?
Excuse me?
Any other questions for Mr. White?
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Knight, I think you're next with,
Personnel.
personnel, yes.
During closed session, I will bring you several positions, some grant-funded positions, and some regular, some working positions, as well as some teacher vacancies for next year that we have come up from retirees or people.
All right, and then Attorney Davis, Superintendent Contract Extension and Board Policies.
All right, on the superintendent's contract, we need a motion to amend the minutes of April 7th, 2020. And then the superintendent's contract will be on the June board meeting. June 2021.
You got this motion to read? The motion is that board meeting on April 7, 2020, extension and renewal of superintendent's contract is made approved through June 30, 2021. That this motion is made to amend the minutes of April 7, 2020 board meeting under action items in order for the minutes to reflect the extension and renewal of the superintendent's contract.
So there will be next meeting, my annual evaluation will come up and we will discuss the extension. Yeah. So we need that motion, this.
Make this motion today and to approve those minutes of April 7, correct?
2020.
2020. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, motion carries.
Then on the board policies, they're on for second reading. And those policies are attached to your agenda. And if you don't have any questions, then those are up for adoption at second reading today. And I would just add policy 1610. Includes the new requirement from the State Board of Education on the mental health policy or on the mental health program. So approval of that policy, you're adopting the State Board of Education new requirements, and then Letitia and Robert will bring to you in June the program to implement that policy.
Any questions for Attorney Davis on any of these policies? Motion been to approve this second reading for policies.
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to closed session. Your motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to the provisions of the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 3, and 143-318.11, parentheses C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session to receive advice from Ms. Ellen Davis for the Graham County School Board of Education, which advice comes within the preview of the attorney-client privilege. This advice will be general legal advice about legal issue or legal matters. Pursuant to the provision of the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of considering personnel matters as defined in and allowed by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 6, and North Carolina General Statute 115C-321.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Motion carries. We're now in closed session.
Yes, I have a host of personnel. I recommend that you approve the following student office assistant, Bailey Park.
Now, I'll disclose to the board that is a niece by marriage.
I think Mr. Kennedy will be fair and partially required to vote.
I do too. But you would be very impartial. It required that.
I'll entertain a motion to approve this recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, so you have your student assistant.
Okay. I recommend the two following summer carpentry student assistants, Lathan Buchanan and Alex Knight.
So the motion then to approve these two, you said carpentry student assistants for the summer.
Second.
And all in favor? All right, motion approved.
Okay, I recommend that you approve the resignation of third grade teacher Brooke Haney.
Motion to approve resignation of elementary teacher Brooke Haney.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, motion carries.
I recommend that you approve Aaron Bradley as a volunteer.
Motion to approve Mr. Bradley as a volunteer.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
I recommend that you approve Rick Carl, one of our existing employees, to work also in the 21st Century Learning Center program.
And I'll inform the board that also is a relative by marriage.
Yeah, I feel Mr. Kennedy should be fair and impartial.
So do I.
All right. He's the only one.
Yes.
Motion to approve Mr. Parman for summer employment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
I recommend that you employ Julia Poyle in the position of part-time child nutrition worker.
there a motion to approve Mr. Forty-one as a, you said part-time? Part-time child nutrition. Is that correct?
Yes. So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor? All right, motion carries.
I recommend that you employ the following 3 individuals as elementary teachers for next school year. Samantha Hooper, Chandra Bowen, and Blaine Adams.
These are all elementary.
That's correct.
Correct. Motion to approve these 3 elementary teachers for the upcoming school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, motion carries.
The following 3 positions will be grant-funded positions. They will have annual evaluations to continue in the position. But at the end of 3 years, the grant will end and so will the position, so just being transparent. The first position is a grant-funded position, is a math coach. The recommendation for that is Crystal White.
Entertain a motion to approve Crystal White as the math coach.
So moved.
Second.
All right, move second, all in favor?
The second grant-funded position is the district mental health liaison position. The recommendation is Gabrielle Pringle.
Motion to approve, motion to approve, Ms. Pringle as a, mental health. What's the
The
correct
district mental health liaison.
title? District mental health liaison.
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor? Thank you.
And the last grant-funded position is an assistant principal for Robbinsville Middle School. The recommendation is Stuart Nouns.
Is there a motion to approve Mr. Stewart Williams as assistant principal at the middle school?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right, anything else, Ms. Knight, to come before the board?
Just a reminder that your next board meeting will be a regularly scheduled meeting on June the 1st. I also will remind you that you have an invitation to the banquet on Monday, May the 10th at 6:30.
And can we expect an additional meeting toward the end of June?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, the last few days of June, you can anticipate having an end of year meeting for the purpose of personnel and the fiscal operations. And that should probably be somewhere very close to the 28th, 29th, 30th of June, somewhere in that last.
Now, that's an extra meeting.
It is an extra meeting. We did that in order for Mr. Green to be able to close out his budgets for the fiscal year.
Anything else? Board members, anything else? Ms. Davis? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.